Hello, everyone, and welcome to the First Baptist Church of Philadelphia. My name is James, and I am pastor here, and welcome to our deep dive on Wednesday nights. It's a pleasure to have you all. We are continuing in our journey through the Gospel of Luke, which is, by most attestations, the most comprehensive of the four gospel sources. And we've been enjoying our time together diving into this, and we're going to continue that tonight, going through Luke chapter 6, starting Luke's Sermon on the Plain. And we talked about that a little bit last week. We'll get into it more tonight. But before we do, let's go to prayer. Gracious God, we thank you for blessing us with this day. We thank you for blessing us with this time together. We ask that you bless us with wisdom tonight, Lord, with discernment tonight, Lord, with eyes and ears to see, hear, feel, and know what it is that you're doing in our life and how you're urging us to move. We love you, Lord, and we thank you. May you speak through us tonight. In your name we do pray. Amen. Okay, it is wonderful to see you. So last week we went over Jesus talking about what it means to be Lord of the Sabbath. And we see this tension growing between Jesus and the Pharisees and the teachers of the law specifically. And what it's coming down to, as we see as a recurring theme, is that the Pharisees are concerned about observing every little bit of the law, and Jesus is about seeing the purpose of that law brought to fulfillment, right? So the Pharisees are concerned about not healing people on the Sabbath because Sabbath, that could entail work, and you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath. And Jesus says, well, the Sabbath was made for this purpose. And so actually by healing this gentleman with a paralyzed hand or a withered hand, is what we saw last week, God would want us to do that. God would want us to bring in mercy and peace and love. And I think he even quotes, not in Luke, but in another one of the Gospels, he's quoting in the Old Testament when he says, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. This is getting to the root of the law here. So we're moving along, and so Jesus, he calls his 12 apostles officially. And so we saw that Jesus had disciples, and the apostles were part of these disciples, but now he goes to a mountainside and he prays, and he comes back with these 12 names. And what are these 12 names? Can anyone tell me? No, you can't, because we don't have a complete list of all 12 names. We don't have a set list of these 12 names, right? So we know some of them. We know Simon, we know James, we know John, but it's confused because as was common practice, people had multiple names, 2 names, and it's hard to tell who's who. Also, there are a few Jameses, there are a few Johns, there's a few Judases, and some of the Gospels seem to use names that don't confuse the two, and others don't seem to care. So it's confusing. We don't have a full reckoning of the 12 names, which is something that's good to know, because we as Christians talk often about these 12 apostles. So it's good to know that we don't actually know who they are. And so now Jesus is moving into what is a parallel to Matthew's Sermon on the Mount. I don't remember if we did a Sermon on the Mount Bible study at First Baptist, but I've done them before. And they're always rewarding because these are the sayings that seem to be at the heart of Jesus' ministry. So it's believed and seems likely that Jesus probably gave these sermons, these lessons, these parables, these teachings, more than just once, right? He would go to a place and he'd teach a lesson, and he'd teach that same lesson somewhere else, and he'd teach the same lesson somewhere else, and somewhere else, and somewhere else. And that makes sense. And so we see in Matthew the Sermon on the Mount, and that's a collection of these sayings, and we have a similar collection in Luke. Now, it's not nearly as large as Matthew's,